Eleanor was a kind woman of 60. She lived in a small, quiet house with a lovely garden. Her house was very tidy and peaceful, but sometimes it felt a little too quiet. Something is missing, she often thought to herself as she drank her morning tea. One day, Eleanor decided to visit the local animal shelter. She walked past many kennels with dogs that barked and jumped with excitement. But in the very last kennel, in a dark corner, a small, scruffy dog was curled into a ball, trembling. The shelter worker told Eleanor his story. "His name is Rusty," she said softly. "His old owners were not kind to him. He is very scared of people." Eleanor looked at the frightened dog, and her heart felt a deep sadness for him. "I will take him," she said. "I will give him a home." When Eleanor brought Rusty home, he was terrified. He immediately ran and hid behind the sofa in the living room. He would not come out, not even for the delicious food Eleanor offered him. Eleanor understood. She did not try to force him. She simply placed his food and water bowl near his hiding spot. She sat in her armchair and read her book aloud in a calm, gentle voice, so he could get used to her sound. Slowly, things began to change. After a week, Rusty started to eat his food when Eleanor was in the room. One evening, he carefully came out from behind the sofa and lay down on the rug, a few meters away from her chair. It was a small step, but it was a start. One afternoon, Eleanor gently rolled a soft red ball across the floor. Rusty watched it, his ears up. He hesitated, then slowly stood up, walked to the ball, and nudged it with his nose. He looked at Eleanor, and for the first time, his tail gave a tiny, hopeful wag. They started going for quiet walks in the park. At first, Rusty was nervous and stayed very close to Eleanor's legs. But with every walk, he became a little more confident. He started to sniff the flowers and watch the birds. One evening, as they sat together on the sofa watching television, Rusty did something wonderful. He moved closer to Eleanor and gently rested his head on her lap. He looked up at her with big brown eyes, full of love and trust. Eleanor's house was no longer quiet. It was filled with the happy sounds of a soft bark, a wagging tail hitting the furniture, and the laughter of a woman who had found her missing piece. Eleanor and Rusty were not just a woman and a dog, they were a family. This story is a beautiful example of how patience and kindness can heal a broken heart. Eleanor didn't force Rusty to trust her. She gave him space and time. Her gentle actions taught him that the world can be a safe and loving place. This shows us that building trust takes time, and that the greatest change often happens through small, consistent acts of love. Something is missing. This phrase means that Eleanor felt a sense of emptiness or loneliness in her life. She had a nice home, but she felt like a part of her life was incomplete. It's a common feeling when you're looking for something more. Her heart felt a deep sadness for him. This shows Eleanor's empathy. It means she felt a strong feeling of sadness for Rusty because she understood his pain and suffering. She connected with his feelings. He immediately ran and hid behind the sofa. This part shows how terrified Rusty was. The word immediately means right away, so he acted very quickly because of his fear. Eleanor understood. She did not try to force him. This is a key moment in the story. To force someone means to make them do something they don't want to do. Eleanor showed patience and respect for Rusty's feelings. This is a great example of nonverbal communication and understanding. His tail gave a tiny, hopeful wag. This is a very important detail. A dog's wagging tail is a sign of happiness. The word hopeful tells us that Rusty was starting to feel a little bit of happiness and trust, showing a positive change in his behavior. He gently rested his head on her lap. This is the climax of the story. The phrase, "to rest your head," means to place your head on something comfortably. This action shows complete trust and affection. It's the moment where Rusty finally accepts Eleanor as his family. This story teaches us a valuable lesson, that every living creature deserves compassion and a second chance. It shows us the incredible bond that can form when we open our hearts and extend a helping hand, or in this case, a gentle voice and a soft ball. In the end, Eleanor and Rusty gave each other something important. Eleanor was a little lonely and felt that something was missing in her quiet house. By adopting Rusty, she found a friend, and her house became full of happy sounds. She no longer felt alone. Rusty was scared and sad. He had no home and no family. When Eleanor adopted him, he found a safe home and a person who loved him very much. He learned to trust again. So, this story is about two friends who found each other. They helped each other and made each other's lives better. They became a real family.